Hi everybody, my name is Susan Kidwell, and my advocacy project is on medical orders for life-sustaining treatment, also known as MOLST, and my focus will be in the ICU. The problem statement is that many patients become unable to make decisions for life-sustaining care while hospitalized, so there is a need for patients to have a MOLST form completed with their provider. The problem is patients come in unresponsive or altered mental status, and by then it's too late to know what their wishes are, so our only choice as providers and caregivers is to do everything that we possibly can. The other issue is that families don't always know what their loved one wants, and they have extra stress put upon them when they need to make these decisions about their care. They want to know, will their family member get better? How will their life be after? So it's a tough decision for the families to make. One article that was found was from a New England Cancer Center that implemented MOLST for a trial period and was found to be very beneficial by the patients, families, and the employees. It helped the family members to mourn the illness of the patient rather than make decisions about end-of-life care. The staff was also relieved knowing that the treatment they were providing was truly what the patient wanted. And another aspect of that is the MOLST tool is a more modern version of the simple do not resuscitate, do not intubate orders. With the modern treatments that we have, we needed an updated version of that order. Some potential solutions are the utilization of MOLST in all medical settings, discussion with your provider about wishes, and discussion with the family while you're still able to have that conversation. With your primary care doctor, you can fill out a MOLST form, print it out, carry it with you, give it to your family, give it to the power of attorney. That way it follows you around and there's no guessing about what your wishes are. Whether or not the MOLST is used, it should still be discussed with your primary care provider. That way they know what your wishes are, even if it's not on this particular form. And right along with that, your discussion with your family, they're the ones that are going to be at the bedside making these decisions. And if the steps aren't taken prior to this and writing them down in legal documents, they're going to need to know what your wishes are so they don't have to make the decision for you. The action plan for this project was to submit an article to the local newspaper which outlined the implementation of MOLST at the local hospital. It talks about the provider training for MOLST, where they have to take a pre and post test for an online module. It will talk about the patients that were affected at the hospital and their outcomes, the staff thoughts on using this tool at the facility. The next action part of the plan is to create a Facebook post to my personal page and link an article from the newspaper. It's found that social media is a huge platform to quickly spread information about something. And the last part of the plan is to write to the Rhode Island State Nurses Association, again briefly explaining what happened at the local hospital, that there's a need for MOLST, the effects of the implementation, and most importantly to urge them to take a stand to get all hospitals in Rhode Island to use the MOLST form. There's always pushback no matter what type of new plan you're trying to implement. In this case, one could be the providers with the training that they need to complete for the MOLST form, saying that they have time constraints in completing that. Another is that the hospital will not receive more revenue for this, which could come from the administrators. However, in this case, they'll be able to save on resources. They're potentially not going to use as much equipment if people don't want to receive certain treatments or consults to respiratory or specialty doctors, tube feeding equipment, things like that. The next is that it's not appropriate for this particular setting, and an uncomfortable conversation. They kind of go together. It is uncomfortable, but there is really no good time to have it. But the ICU was almost a little too late. In the future, hopefully this could be implemented into primary care provider offices. But for right now, I'm focusing on the ICU. And that in that case, many people are kind of past the point where they're able to make that decision. Lastly, lack of understanding by the layperson. They might have the old way of thinking that it's DNR, DNI, all or nothing, that there's not those kind of in-between measures that we can take. And so a lot of explanation, and again, education in nursing is always very important. Educating all these people that it's something that needs to be implemented. Some expected outcomes is that we will attain patients' wishes for life-sustaining treatment. The families will be relieved of stress in not having to make decisions. The staff will be relieved of some worry that the treatments that our patients are receiving are what they want, and the facility will save on resources. In its implementation for the project, there were 9 forms that were used at a later time that were used by the RN after the patient deteriorated, and we were unsure of the desires of the patient. 6 of these patients wished to receive all life-sustaining measures. 3 opted less aggressive measures. However, all 9 received the care that they decided. The 3 with the less aggressive treatment still received the care that they wanted. It just wasn't all that was available to them. How to move forward? As I said earlier, I think this would be best utilized in a primary care setting. The emergency department would be another alternative where the patient could express their wishes when they first arrived, because sometimes they deteriorate while they're in the hospital, as we all know. And in regards to this project is to follow up with the RISNA, and to continue to try to get the MOLST form used in all Rhode Island hospitals. I believe that all course objectives were met with this advocacy project. I think that the 2nd through 5th primarily with this particular project. Thanks for watching my presentation. I hope that you learned something about the MOLST form, and if nothing else, I hope that you talk to your family about your desires for any life-sustaining treatments that you may need in the future.